don't know what, I'll stand over here.
I can still see you.
You're
still in it.
I'm kidding. All right. So this is the This is the Acts of the Apostles / Lakeside class. So it's we're talking about what the early church did, right? What they did in Acts and how that relates to us here at Lakeside. So we got a couple of papers there. We'll get to those here in a minute. But let's talk a little bit about what the church did in the book of Acts. Like they seemed pretty focused, right? Would you say they were pretty focused and they kind of knew their mission, right? So what was the big thing for them? What was their mission?
Spread the gospel.
Okay, to spread the gospel, right? To go out into all the world. And they had a plan, right? They had a plan for what they were doing. Even God gave them a little bit of plan. They were going to start where? Where were they going to start? Jerusalem. And then go to Judea and Samaria. And then finally to the other parts of the world. So we know, right, that they had this mission. And that was kind of their main drive and main focus. But what else did they do? When we think about the Acts of the Apostles, right? We think about what they did. What all did they do?
They healed.
Okay, they healed people.
They converted people.
Converted.
Serve people.
Yeah.
Educated.
Educate, yeah. Anything else?
They helped people who in need.
Yeah, helping people in need.
Yeah.
And that's when we think about that aspect of it, and you think about where they did all their work, right? It wasn't like in some building, for the most part. Every once in a while they were in a synagogue, or they were meeting from house to house. But a lot of what they did was outside of a building, right? And so they would go about and they were teaching, but as you said, they were also showing acts of kindness, whether it was healing, miracles, whatever it was. They were showing acts of kindness. What? What? Oh, I'm supposed to clip this on my shirt? Oh, sorry. No, I didn't know. Okay, let me start over. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. Yeah, they were showing acts of kindness, but they were out in the community, right? When you think about the apostles, again, they had a mission. They were focused on what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. But you think about what they did. Would you say that people in their community knew who they were?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be kind of hard to not know about the apostles, right? From all the miracles they were performing. It's kind of like Jesus. Everybody knew about Jesus and who he was. And it's the same kind with the apostles afterwards. People knew who they were. Okay? So this all kind of leads down to some questions. And I want to open a lot of this up for discussion. So we're not going to go through the book of Acts today. So if you're disappointed that, I'm sorry. But we're not going to go through it. Many of us probably already know the book of Acts and kind of what happens in it. But what does it mean for Lakeside? I want us to kind of ask the question of, does the community know us? Like, you think about our community here, and if you were to walk up to a random person and say, hey, do you know about the Lakeside Church of Christ? What do you think they would say, on average? No? Yeah. I think that would be probably the average response, wouldn't you say? I mean, not to put us down or anything, but I talk to people in the community and I tell them where I'm a minister at and where I preach, and most of the people don't know who we are. Yeah. Now, sometimes if I say if they know Moody Avenue, right? Like, oh, the building. Right? Yeah, right. They may know the building, but do they know us? And that's the thing that we're kind of getting at here is, we want the Acts of Lakeside, a big part of that has to be getting out into the community. And that's something that we can do a better job at. Now, we are doing some great things, and so you have two papers. So the first kind of one here, you've probably all seen this at some point, the opportunities sheet. And I'm trying to get everybody to fill this out. I've got kids filling this out now. It used to kind of be like, oh, if you're a member, you fill it out. But I think everyone should fill it out. Even if someone's just visiting, just because they're not a member yet doesn't mean they can't do stuff. So there's things on here for non-members that non-members can be involved in, that hopefully for a purpose of drawing them in closer and that they will respond. So look on that list and help me find some things that we're currently doing that gets us out in the community.
Run live stream.
Okay. Yeah, that gets our message out, doesn't it? And that is a good thing that's going on. We've built up our online presence a ton since COVID.
Yes.
And certainly if that's something that we need to be focused on. What else?
The Care Bears.
Yes, the Care Bears. Now, someone tell me about Care Bears, as if I don't know what it is at all. They give them to hospitals?
There's children that come in.
Okay. Where do these bears come from?
All of us.
They come from all. People just donate bears?
Ones that do different things with them.
Okay. People
Manufacture the bears.
Oh, you manufacture. Okay, thank you, Lane. You manufacture the bears. Again, you're telling me as if you were explaining this to someone who has no clue what it is, right? So you make the bears then, and then you give them to the hospitals. What do the hospitals do with them? They give them to kids that are in the hospital. That's pretty neat. That's actually something very special that we do. And one of the things when it comes to community that we are absolutely getting right and nailing. We get messages all the time from parents sending pictures in from their kids who got a bear while they were in the emergency room. We just got another one in. I think someone posted or put something up of a mom whose, I think it was her daughter, who was in the emergency room and was all upset for, I don't remember what happened, but she got one of these bears and said she just loved that thing. It helped so much. And that's one thing. So you think about what we're doing, and so we have a message, right? You think about the Acts of the Apostles. They had a message. Do we have a message? What's our message? What's the Lakeside Church of Christ message?
We love you.
We love you.
We want to
We
serve
love
you.
you. Okay, we love you. We want to serve you.
We want to teach you the gospel.
Okay.
Ultimately.
All right. So we have this message, right, of we love you, we care for you, and we want to teach you the gospel. I mean, ultimately, that's kind of the place that we're trying to head with everybody is, we want them to know we love them and that we care about them, but we really want to know about this message that we have about Jesus and their salvation. But, I mean, you think about what the apostles did. They seemed very bold in being able to just go out and just tell people on the street about Jesus, right? Now let's bring this back to us. Okay, so how easy is it for you to just talk to people about Jesus and salvation? I mean, we've probably got all different kinds of people in here, but how easy is it?
It's hard.
It's hard.
I don't think people are interested in it. You're not supposed to talk about politics and religion, right?
Yeah. In many places and circles, that's kind of taboo. You're not supposed to talk about it. So, would you say it's kind of difficult?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's hard to get started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of the hard thing for me is how do you work that into a conversation? Some people are really good at that. Like I've met people that can just naturally, like anything you say, you could talk about peanut butter, and they're going to find a way to tie that into the gospel. Their brain just works like that. And but it's hard to get that conversation started. And I think that's where when we talk about these acts of kindness, because that's where I want us to focus on a lot today. It's acts of kindness out in the community. That's going to open up the door to talk about our message, right? What do you guys?
Well, you get shot down too.
Right.
Start.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you don't approach it deliberately, and you seize the opportunity when it comes about, and you don't have in your mind that I'm trying to make a sale on something, it's like I'm going to share this with a person, and they take it, for whatever it's worth, and if it's good for them, then like every Sunday morning we'll stop at the gate station and get a cup of coffee on the way to Sunday school, and they see us in our Sunday clothes. So there was a guy at the gate station would ask me, you guys heading to church? And it was a perfect opportunity. Yeah, y'all come on and go with us sometime.
Yeah.
So I think seizing an opportunity whenever.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Seizing the opportunity, because that's really what Jesus told his disciples to do. Because in Matthew 28, when he's telling them to go out into all the world, he really tells them, like, as you are going, baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, right? Teach them all things. But he says, as you are going. And that's the thing. It's about our daily life. Daily we are out in the community in our lives. And so that's an opportunity for us to represent Jesus and to reach people just as we are going in our lives. So we talk about, so if we look at that list again of what we have here, there is the Care Bear things. What else is there?
Well, we got those food boxes that we pass out.
Uh-huh.
That's really good.
Yep, every once in a while we ask people to bring in food and donate that, and we fill up the food boxes for people.
And I think some people in the church don't realize that we have those, and they're in the church and they need them themselves.
Yeah.
Or part of their family.
Yeah. Okay, what else?
Going on a mission trip, so you can spread the word to people and see other countries and how they worship.
Yeah, I mean that gets us out of the building and even into other countries, right? And going.
And domestic missions.
Right.
Going door knocking, which we've done. So.
Right. Yeah, that's not on our list here, but door knocking is something we do and get out in the community. There's also like the Will Group, right there. Isn't that the Will Group that met today to take getting stuff together for the cancer patients?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, you can go through here and find stuff, and I would encourage you, if you haven't filled one of these out, to fill it out. We do use these. I use these in my work to see who is interested in doing stuff and who's willing to do that. We also pass it out to other people in the church who are over certain ministries to let them know who are interested. So I would fill that out with you. I want to talk a little bit about the second thing, this connect thing. Because we want to connect with the community. We want to get out into the community and represent Jesus Christ and take our faith outside of this building. So if we were going to talk to somebody in the community, what if they know about Lakeside, what would you want them to say about us?
Everybody's friendly.
Okay, they're friendly.
Teach the truth.
Okay.
We don't add to the Bible or take away anything. We just do just what the Bible asks of us.
Yeah.
They're really an asset to the community. They have a great reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to have them here.
Yeah. That's kind of, I always ask myself this and just kind of think about it from time to time, is if the people of Lakeside were not here anymore, like if there was no Lakeside Church of Christ, would the community notice? I'm not talking about the building. Like obviously if the building disappeared, people who drive by would notice, right? Oh, that building's not there anymore. But what about if the Lakeside Church of Christ people, if we weren't here anymore, would the community notice?
I doubt it. They would only know their neighbors that go there and things like that, but overall,
Yeah.
I don't think they would.
I think there's now, again, not to be hard on us, but there are things that I think would be missed. The Care Bears, I think absolutely would be missed. Some of the other works that we do would be missed. But I think, you think about overall, you think about, I think there are certain churches in our community that if you ask people, do you know about this church? And and they'll probably say yes. I'm not going to say any certain ones, but they could also tell you things that church does, right? Because they are out in the community. People know who they are. I would want to say, I put on here, if I just wanted just one thing that people would say if they knew us, right? I want people saying in the community, everybody knows about Lakeside. They care about the community, right? They care about the community. If I feel like if I can get them to know that we care about them, then I can get a message to them, right? I can get a message that they, about the truth and about Jesus and about salvation. But I have to have, I want people to know who we are and that we care about them. So when you think about some of the other things on here.
Well, what does that look like to you when you say
Okay.
we care about them? What
Exactly.
does that look like to you?
All right, let's go there because that's we're eventually getting there. But let's go ahead and go there. What does that look like? What does it look like to care about the community?
Like we just discussed, we have a lot of programs to reach out to people, a lot of things we do for other people.
Yeah. What does that look like? How do we help this community? How do we care for it?
Well, if someone comes to the building, we need to sort of take care of them.
Sure.
When
Yeah,
they come in,
absolutely.
they get to know us better.
Yeah.
There's
And I think we do a fairly good job of that. When people come here, like I said, we have stuff set up for those who are hungry. We help people sometimes with putting up people in motels that need a motel. We help people with all kinds of stuff when they come here. But 99.99% of the people in our community don't come here looking for help,
true, but to learn about us
Yeah.
is an example. Not this Sunday, but the Sunday before, two ladies sat in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't know anything about the Lord's Supper. They don't know anything about the church at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and got them some.
Mm-hmm.
But I foolishly didn't explain to them because I got in a little bit of trouble one time about trying to help someone
Oh,
with
yeah.
that.
Well, I wonder what brought them here.
Huh?
I wonder what brought them
Well,
here. Why
I
did they
failed
walk in
to
our door?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to answer that a little bit, but they were here this Sunday. Again, they sat in the front row up
Uh-huh.
there. And so they had picked up the communion, but
Mhm.
they didn't know really what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I knew that from the previous Sunday, so I went up and explained it to them.
That's good. Yeah, that's something that I always ask when people are visiting is, what brought you here? Because I want to know.
And
Especially if it's something, we're doing, I
they
can tell
told
people about
me
that.
They were just trying all different kinds of churches.
Sure.
And, I just said I was glad they came back 2 in a row, and
Yeah.
we would help them explain and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so again, how do we show community care? Think about maybe it this way, like what are the community's needs?
That's what I was kind of going to bring up is like,
Yeah.
we should probably take that first step and see what it is that our community needs
Mhm.
instead of just expecting them to come to us when they need something.
Yeah. So what is the community? How do we know what the community needs?
Out there,
Yeah. Go ask.
we have to observe too. It can't just
Yeah.
be walking. Sometimes we have to really take a minute and look.
Yeah.
as well.
You see somebody broken down the side of the road, you know they need help changing their
Well, that's
tire.
true. That one's pretty obvious,
Yeah.
right? They need help, or we can see if they need help.
Asking somebody how they're doing, and obviously not just taking fine for an answer if there's
Mhm.
something in there that's kind of putting your radar off that maybe not everything.
Is there any group of people you think in our community who, because of maybe what they do for a living, would know kind of what the community needs? Are there any kind of jobs or people that you can think?
Youth outreach, I would say, like people that work at after school programs and
Teachers was one of the first things that I think of when I think of like people who kind of have an idea of what's going on in the community. Teachers, right? Because they deal with the kids of the community, but also the parents, and whether they want to or not, they end up finding out a lot about the families and what's going on maybe in the homes and different things like that. So yeah, teachers. Who else?
Police officers know a lot about the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. Police officers, even firefighters, first responders, kind of get an idea of what's going on in the community and having to dealing with a lot of people in need. Maybe any kind of social worker that we might know or somebody like that. Any type of person that their job has them out in the community a lot. It might be good just to ask them, right? Ask them what it is. So that's kind of maybe how we can go about finding out what the needs are. But we have to be willing to get out there and ask, right? We have to go and check and see what the needs are. Because it would be kind of silly for us to have something that we're doing but doesn't really feel a need, right? And we get this sense of accomplishment because we're doing something, but if it's not actually helping people, or maybe even helping a lot of people, we maybe could be spending our time better somewhere else. When we think about what they did in the book of Acts, they were performing these miracles, they were being kind and compassionate, showing mercy, and that was drawing a crowd, right? More people probably were coming to them to be healed than necessarily wanting to hear a message, right? I mean, they was like, hey, I'm lame. I want to walk again. That's the main reason that I'm coming to see you, is so I can walk again. And while they were helping people with this, they would also give them the message. And so...
they were also feeding them, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people are hungry and they need.
Yeah. So getting to this idea, so how specifically let's just think of some of the needs that people have. You mentioned hunger, right? How do we fulfill that need? How can we help people with that?
Well, by the food boxes, that we
Mhm.
have, we can, as a church, collectively collect things, put them in boxes, and if someone's hungry, we give them a box.
Yeah.
I think we do
Gift
that.
cards.
So we have that available, but how do the community needs to know that's available? That we have boxes that just go bad. The food goes bad in them because they just sit there. That doesn't always happen, especially around the holidays. People are looking for food, but a lot of times that the food will go bad. It will expire before we can even give it out. So how do we go about doing that?
You can have a giveaway day. I've seen churches do that. They advertise it like this Saturday we're giving away food. Come on down on their Facebook page or whatever. They advertise it, let it be known. So we can do that.
Okay.
Lakeside's in the middle of a bunch of places with like a lot of houses nearby, and like some ways you go, it's a lot of nicer houses, and some ways just walking distance. Some houses are nicer and some aren't in like great areas. So I think just going outside of the church, and even if you put it on the billboard outside, a lot of people are gonna see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but we gotta advertise this, right? We gotta let people know that we're gonna do this. So think about hunger. We do have those boxes. Is there anything else? Is there any other ideas you might have?
Local radio, if there's a radio station for this area.
Okay.
Put it out there. People listen.
Yeah.
Get information to the people that interact with these people on a daily basis. Not something as, a business card that you can hand to, police officers can have with them. And we have them at the hospital too, if there was an abuse situation or something where we had to give information to someone, it was discreet and it was easy to hand
Oh, that's a good idea.
to someone, and that way it's like if the police officer noticed that this family's really struggling with food, hey, here's a resource. I know that they can get you food.
Yeah, I like that. Does anybody else like that?
I like that too, a business card.
Yeah, this just it
like
just
the
talks about
salvation is on a card. We
Yeah.
make a card that just said we're here to
about
help.
even about the food thing,
Yeah,
like
right.
just like here, especially if they come across someone who's hungry, that can be slipped, to them, and hey, go to these people, they'll feed you, they'll help you.
Also, we've already got YouTube station
The YouTube,
advertising. on
Yeah.
YouTube.
right? Yeah, we could put out a message on social media too, kind of advertise, do our own advertising there about it. That's good. That's a good idea too. Huh? Yeah. Is there any other? So that's dealing with the boxes. Is there anything else that you maybe have thought of when it comes to like feeding people, because I feel like that's a big one. I mean, that's one that they were doing back in, the first century, and that's never going to go away. There's always going to be hungry people, right? We're always going to have the need to feed people.
You can do like the homeless bags where you put like a toothbrush and food and like different things that they need in there.
Yeah, and then we could go hand those out, or we can keep some of those here
Keep
too.
in our car when we go up the interstate, hand them to the guy out the window.
Yeah, that's right.
Do like with like Lakeside Elementary, there's like definitely more than like one child who like can't afford lunch every day.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it there.
Yeah, and dealing with the schools, we had before COVID a school that wanted us to start a mentor program, especially with a lot of the young boys, but to start a mentor program, and that was going on before COVID, and then it just all shut down after that. But it's something we could revisit again as well. What other? There's okay. Go ahead.
Sometimes instead of figuring out what you're going to do, you figure out who's going to do it, you get more done. So if you get a team of people working on a project rather than you trying to figure everything out on your own, there's so many people with so many different ideas, they're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So just like on Sunday nights, we have different classes that everybody goes to. If we had a team that just took on this challenge and let's see what they can do in a quarter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then after that quarter, we switch it up, and somebody else is taking that up. I think it would be amazing what you could get done.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is that is what we're getting to. My challenge that I'm giving every class, okay? My challenge in every class is I want, because that's my whole thing, is people come with me all the time with ideas and like, hey, we should be doing this, do this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, my plate's full already, like, like I think so too, but I can't run every ministry or help with, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. My challenge is I want you to come up with one thing for the rest of the year, okay? One thing that you're going to like organize or get together, or you pick, get 2 or 3 people even, and you guys pick one thing you're going to organize. I mean, you talk about the ideas that we have, whether it comes to feeding people, whether it comes to getting people clothing, handing people out water, right? It's hot out right now, getting people water. I would love for someone, and if we're just talking about one thing, right? If everybody kind of like organizes one thing for the year, I mean, think about all we're going to get done, right? Think about all that we can do and all that we can accomplish. And because it's hard running an entire ministry, I'll tell you that. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. There's a lot of good, right, and joy that comes out of running ministry, but it's hard. Finding someone to oversee a whole ministry for a year or 2 years, or sometimes it can seem like you're stuck in it forever, right? You start this ministry, you're having to carry it. It's kind of like your child, and you're trying to get other people interested in it. It can be hard to run a whole ministry for a whole year, but you think about one thing. Can I do one thing? Organize one thing for the community. That's kind of our focus in here. Can I organize one thing that's going to get us out in the community? It doesn't have to be getting the whole church out in the community, but just one thing. What is that? And some of that I'm going to have to leave up to you guys. It's figuring out something that you can do. And I'm encouraging our teens, our young people. Lucy, my 9-year-old, and Cameron were in here last week. And they were coming up with ideas of things that they wanted to do, right? So if they can do it, I know the rest of us can do it, right? They're planning on organizing something together. So, that's the thing. And even if you don't head it up or lead it, finding one thing, teaming up with somebody and finding something to do, and then go from there, right? And what I would love to do is when you do have your idea, and you have your plan, and you're willing to get it together, then come see me. Then come and say, okay, I've got this plan. I've got, some of these people maybe. This is what we want to do. What's our next step? Then we can go from there. I'm more than willing to help with that and kind of be that kind of asset. And I would be excited for people to do that. Yeah, think about that. Think about the community. Some of the other things I have on here. The last kind of question there is, who are we equipped to best reach? And maybe you ask that stuff for your question, like, who am I, from my abilities and what I have, who am I best equipped to reach from what I do or from what I know how to do? And then, think about that. Yeah. What else? Is there anything else that you guys have or want to share?
And when it comes to my mind about how you get like the community to really know you, to me it seems like you'd have to. I visualize like if we had the property and the money, we'd have like a building that would be like almost like a Goodwill, but we're like people. Everybody here has clothes in their closet they don't wear, purses, shoes, pots and pans, everything in your house that you say I don't even use this anymore. I'll donate it to here, and then people would come in there and buy used, like people like to go to Goodwill, secondhand stores, they need that stuff. And if the church had a place where we could have like a store, it'd be like held by the church.
We got empty property right behind us.
People, that would be like
Yeah.
a community thing where community would see that and they could come in every day. The door would be open from 9 to 5. Prices were very low, $1 for a shirt, or just very affordable. That to me seems like the community would see that, and the community would be in and out. You could put the card in there about we're just next door. We'd love you to come worship with us. But that's like what I would think that would be like community would be involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that's a big
Right.
thing to
Well, one of the
build,
things that
but somehow,
that we're getting going, and we've already discussed this in our like elders and deacons meetings and all this stuff, is we are going to try to start doing a monthly like supper or lunch or some monthly meal that we're going to hold here at the building that's free to the community. So we're going to create, get a big meal, and we're going to do that. We're thinking about starting off just doing it once a month. That might change after that, but once a month, offer a meal to the community, and just a free home cooked, warm meal, and have that here at the building. So, there's all kinds of things like that we can be doing that, will attract people and make it easier to talk about that message. All right. Sounds like everybody else is done. I think we're done. Is that? Oh, what did you have to say?
Okay,
No.
That where I grew up, they had something like that called His House.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the members of the church would donate their clothing, but they would also get cast-offs from Dollar General and all these places that were throwing away all these old shampoos coming off they're still perfectly fine. And they would offer up that. It was free, so it was only open certain hours of the day.
Yeah.
But people could come in, they had grocery carts and everything, and they could go in and whatever they needed, they could take it and leave.
That's neat.
And that was a really big, it's a very small town, but
Yeah.
it was a really big outreach for that church family.
Yeah.
For them.
All right. Get your people. Figure out your one thing that you're going to do for the rest of the